It is time once again to talk about the Florida Gators at the 5-pillar positions.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free. This is the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay with us for the Armada Team of the Week later in the episode. And we're talking today about the 5-pillar positions, which is a thing that we talk about quite a bit here on Locked On Gators. We go through it a couple times every year. After spring, before fall camp, we will look at how Florida's opponents in 2025 stack up at the pillar positions. But right now, we're going to look at how Florida's roster is shaped up, which, again, the 5-pillar positions, if you don't remember, which are also 5 building blocks, whatever you want to call them. A lot of people just call them the premium positions, right? They're the same thing. It's the 5 positions, which if you are strong at those, you probably will have a pretty successful team. It's the 5 most impactful positions. And the reason that I've really subscribed to it for quite some time is Thomas Dimitroff, the former Atlanta Falcons general manager, he was at least the guy that exposed me to that idea. And the way that we talk about the 5-pillar positions is quarterback, offensive tackle, wide receiver, pass rusher, outside corner. It's changed over time, right? It used to be quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, edge rusher, corner. I have shifted it more to be pass rusher because I think that interior pass rush is now more valuable than it was at the initial time that these thoughts came out. And pass catcher is available instead of just wide receiver, but you have to be an elite pass catching tight end to do that, like a Kyle Pitts for Florida. And so we're going to look at the present and future building blocks, where the present has to be what we will call confirmed good player. For this show, confirmed good player means it is based on my opinion. Okay, you can have a different opinion than me. That's fine. I don't fault you for having a different opinion than me, but we will base this on opinions of how I look at the players at these positions. The future is less about being an opinion and less what I think of a player. It is strictly blue chip player at that position that has been in college for no longer than a year or has not been in college yet. So it's blue chip player at that position that is either just finished their first season, their true freshman season, even if they redshirted, their true freshman season, or someone that's currently committed. So the 2024, 2025, 2026 class. First up is quarterback. Yes, the Florida Gators have a present building block there in DJ Lagway. I have been very open about saying, hey, he needs a lot of work. Hey, he is not this perfect quarterback, but I do think as far as saying, hey, is he good enough to be thought of as a guy that right now should be a starter? And I think the one way some people will look at this is remove the year that they're in, right? Remove their freshman or 7th year senior. Remove that and say, hey, would we look for an upgrade at this position? Would this be a position where we think, hey, you might need an upgrade? That's not how I look at it. It's not, but I do think that that's how some people subscribe to that thought process. And I don't think anybody would really say, yeah, I'm looking for someone better than DJ Lagway. Even if he's a senior, I don't think people are looking to say, yeah, well, find a better ad in the portal. Don't think that's happening. So for DJ Lagway, quarterback, absolutely the Florida Gators have a present building block, good quality player at a premium position whatever you want to call it. Florida Gators are there. They have their answer there in DJ Lagway. Then you look at the future, and this is kind of the only, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only position where this will actually count for Florida. But for the future, they've got their quarterback because DJ Lagway counts in this, okay? Again, we're talking about someone who in the next couple of years is going to be considered a building block, and DJ Lagway is still that. You have to be in college for less than a year. He just finished his true freshman season in college for less than a year, so he counts. But the Florida Gators also have a 2026 commit in Will Griffin. So Florida right now has a present building block at quarterback, DJ Lagway, and a future building block at quarterback in DJ Lagway and in Will Griffin. And again, this is the thing where I feel like I'm harder on DJ Lagway than most Florida Gators fans. But even if you are one of the people that's harder on him, and you say no, he's not talented enough, then you can say that. But you can't say anything about the future part of it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's justifiable to say that he's not present. I think that he's bona fide, good, current, confirmed player. But even if you disagree with him being good, he still counts as a future building block because he's a blue chip player. And that's the cutoff. Blue chip, so 4 or 5 star player at that position. Florida's got it with Will Griffin for 2026 and DJ Lagway. And again, this is the most important position to be good at. This is the most important position to have that building block, have that pillar player, have that player at a premium position. It's quarterback. There is not a single position in sports more valuable than quarterback. There's just not. And I mean, one individual guy, sure, starting pitchers in the MLB, sure. But as far as it being one guy, nothing more important than quarterback. And the Florida Gators have their answer there. We are going to look at pass catcher and offensive tackle in the next section. We'll talk about that when we get back with Locked On Gators. I think you guys are going to like this one. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. One team that's better than the rest. From top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. That's right. This week's Armada and clear-cut team of the week is the Florida Gators. The Gators, led by Walter Clayton, 17 points per game in the SEC tournament, just dominated it, winning each game by at least 9 points. And not only did Florida grab a number 1 seed, but they are the nation's most efficient offense. And if I'm not mistaken, the second most efficient offense ever. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Florida Gators have done here during the SEC tournament. It's clear that our team of the week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure at shopnissanusa.com. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day, you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college, maybe at the University of Florida. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life Insurance is a simple term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch, and you can be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, no health exam is required. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And the Florida Gators do indeed have a conversation, we'll say, for a premium player at pass catcher, which we're talking receiver here. There's no tight end here that is a big enough impact in the passing game to be justified as the building block player there, the premium player there, right? Many people may think that Amir Jackson can do that, but again, it's a present building block, proven quality player right now. Right now. And so Florida at pass catcher, I would like to say that I'm going to give it to them. Okay. But I'm going to say for J. Michael Sturdivant. That's who I'm going to say. I know that there are a lot of Florida Gators fans that are going to say Trey Wilson. And here's the thing. Again, from me, this is my version, my standpoint. I'm speaking my truth right now. Trey Wilson could be really good, right? But when he was a true freshman, we saw him basically be used as a gadget, right? He was catching pop passes behind the line of scrimmage, and then everything he was doing was yards after catch wise, right? That's it. And so Trey Wilson, dynamic player, but if we're saying, are you a proven commodity at wide receiver? The answer is no. Trey Wilson was used almost exclusively on these pop passes. And then in 2024, he barely played, right? He was productive in his very few games that he played, but he barely played. So I'm sorry. I just can't say it. Because I can't say he's a good wide receiver. I can't say he's a bad wide receiver because we haven't seen him play wide receiver. He's played gadget, and that's it. And that's not an insult, by the way. I want to make that abundantly clear. I don't think someone being labeled a gadget is a bad thing. I just don't like saying, yeah, that gadget is a good wide receiver because we don't know. So I don't put him in that range. But again, not to say he's bad at it, just to say that we don't know if he's good at it. You could say you think he's going to be good. I think he will be good at it. But as far as being proven in that area, he ain't. So I can't say that he is. And so I will say J. Michael Sturdivant. Okay. He's the one guy where I think you could say, hey, doesn't have the production, at least in recency. The past 2 years, kind of. I mean, UCLA has just been so bad. So J. Michael Sturdivant maybe doesn't have the production of a good, proven quality receiver in the past couple years, but I think you got the film on and you see a good quality receiver. So that's how I look at J. Michael Sturdivant. So for the present, I will say Florida has a guy. Future, there is, and again, you could easily say no, and I won't dispute you. Future, Tank Hawkins, TJ Abrams, Vernell Brown III, Dallas Wilson, all guys that fit there. And look, receiver is a spot where you want to have more than just one, right? Quarterback, ideally, of course, you have 2 or 3 because you keep getting those blue chip players. But receiver, you could easily say, hey, well, guess what? There's 3 or 4 playing all the time. And so you should have multiple guys out there that actually fit that criteria. So receiver, again, Jure Hawkins, TJ Abrams, Vernell Brown III, Dallas Wilson are all there. I know that there will be many people who say, hey, Nashawn Montgomery, but he simply doesn't have the ranking. You could argue why he doesn't have the ranking, whatever it may be. If it's just, hey, some of these evaluators are bad. You could say that also. But right now, Florida has 4 building blocks at pass catcher for the future and 1 right now. Offensive tackle, similar to receiver, is a spot where you can easily say no to it, and I wouldn't dispute it. I wouldn't debate you much on it. It is one where I was even on the fence, similar to receiver. Like quarterback, I was like, yeah, it's DJ Lagway, no doubt on that. Receiver, I was like, you know what? I think J. Michael Sturdivant on film is good enough to say he's good. He just doesn't have the production, which is why I think many people would dispute it, which is fine. offensive tackle is one where Austin Barber's had some rough times and he's had some good times. I think he's good enough to say he should be there. Again, I was very torn on this. Again, because the bar is proven good player. Not great, not elite. I look at Austin Barber and I say, okay, I think he's a proven good player. That's my criteria. If you're using the criteria of would we look for an upgrade in the portal, I think that there's people that would say yes. I think there's people that would say, yes, I'd look for an upgrade at left tackle and I'd move Austin Barber to right tackle. But here's the thing. Premium position is offensive tackle, not left tackle. Used to be left tackle, is now offensive tackle because most teams need to have two good offensive tackles because most defenses that are good have two good pass rushers on the edge. So it's offensive tackle. So even if you do say, hey, I'd look for an upgrade move from the right tackle, which is where I would also prefer he play, he still fits that he's good there, right? And so I think he's good enough for you could argue he's there. I say he's there. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's elite, but I do think that he's good. And so I think Austin Barber is a building block for the present right now. And so I put him in that section. For the future, there's one right now, and it's Fletcher Westphal. He's the only blue chip offensive tackle. Or I guess you could say Tavares Dice as well. He was a blue chip, but I do know that there's quite a few people that look at him long-term as a guard. Whether or not I agree with that or you agree with that is irrelevant. But if you count him as a tackle, then yes, Fletcher Westphal and TJ Dice. If you count him as a guard, then Fletcher Westphal. Guard is not a premium position. Guard is one of the least valued positions right now, just because good tackles can help them out if they're not playing on an island, and centers can help them out. So guard is viewed as one of the least premium positions, one of the least valuable positions right now. But again, making a little bit of a resurgence. The Panthers have thrown money at the guard market. Quite a few teams have thrown money at guards as we're shifting more toward running the football again. Teams have shifted toward prioritizing guards. But right now, football, while it's taken that shift towards running the ball, still a passing league. So guard, not a premium position, doesn't fit there. Center, still not a premium position, even though they are out there every single play, touching the ball every single play, not a premium position. We are going to talk about the defensive positions when we get back with this episode of Locked On Gators. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level, okay? And let me tell you, screw the ad read. I've used Upwork before personally, so I get to say that, hey, I know how Upwork works. I used Upwork, so for those who don't know, I got my start in media covering the NFL draft, okay? And the way that I got my start was nobody would hire me because they were like, hey, you have no experience. I'm not going to hire you. So I started Whole Line Sports, which I no longer work with, but or is no longer active. But I started Whole Line Sports in 2018, and I went out and I went to Upwork and I hired a web designer there. It was fantastic process, beautiful. I got my logo with Whole Line made through Upwork, and I had an Upwork web designer design the site. And I used Upwork to have someone actually implement the site and make it useful on the front end and the back end so that I could actually use it. So I have experience with Upwork. Fantastic experience. Loved it. Maybe everybody doesn't have the same. I do. So I'm going to say, hey, I'll pound the table for it. Upwork's legit. Visit Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. Quick note on bracket breakdown. Your boy was on there to talk about our Florida Gators. I'm just saying, just go to Alexa, say, hey, play bracket breakdown. You'll see it. I'm on there. It's a blast. Isaac was here, less than 2 weeks ago on Locked On Gators. Love them. They're doing a fantastic job over there. To wrap up today's episode of Locked On Gators, we are talking about the defensive side. Again, this used to be edge rusher, right? This used to be the Khalil Max, Jason Pierre-Paul's. I'm going to say Jason Pierre-Paul. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. Used to be just that. Now we're talking about the Aaron Donalds, the Chris Jones, interior pass rushers. And so I no longer say edge rusher when we talk about the premium positions. I say pass rusher. Cam Jackson, great player. I loved what he did for Florida. But he's a nose tackle that's not a pass rusher. Dexter Lawrence, nose tackle that is a pass rusher. So for the present, we're going to go with Caleb Banks. Okay. I know that there will be people who say George Gums. I know there will be people who say Tyreek Sapp. I know that there will be some fans that say all three of them. Here's the thing. I think Tyreek Sapp is a tremendous defensive lineman. Truly. He's taken significant strides since even 2023. He's gotten a lot better. But he's not a pass rusher that wins early, and he's not a pass rusher that wins enough for me to say that he is a building block edge rusher or building block pass rusher. Okay. George Gums, also a guy that does not win early enough. And a lot of both Gums and Sapp, their work is done with effort and chipping away. And that's great. But also I take you back to the end of this season and I say, when did both Tyreek Sapp and George Gums really feel like they took off? When Caleb Banks started dominating. So for me, I say that Florida does have a building block on the interior of the defensive line, not on the edge. I think that they do have a building block as a pass rusher, but it's Caleb Banks. It is not George Gums or Tyreek Sapp, in my opinion. Again, you disagree, that's fine. I don't care. This is my opinion. Looking at future players, future building blocks, there's 3 right now, right? LJ McCray, who is playing Jack, Jalen Wiggins, and Jaden Woods. The blue chip players from the past two recruiting classes that you could say are premium players at those positions. And I think that I'm torn on LJ McCray at Jack. Just because I feel like you should be a more twitched up athlete there. And so I'm torn on it there. Jaden Woods, someone that, the coaching staff raves about all the time. They're like, yeah, this kid's going to play early and often, and he's going to be available there. He's going to be coming out and just cooking, hopefully. But it's one of those things that we'll need to see. And Jalen Wiggins, I think, will not play too much this year. I think he'll be a backup for Tyreek Sapp and Cam James. And so I think right now you've got the 3 building blocks at pass rusher, which, again, when we expand from edge rusher to pass rusher, that does mean that there should be more quantity there as well. And I think Florida 3, that's a good number to be at. And we talk about this all the time. Not every player is going to live up to the expectations that you may have of them. That's fine. That's life. But having 3 means that, hey, probably at worst 1 will get there. And if that's the case, then you've still got a building block at that position. Again, ideally, you have 2 or 3 players at the position. But for now, fine with 1 there. And I also think that Florida has pretty consistently gotten guys who we think are better than their ranking, right? At least that's how I feel about it. And especially on defense. Then there's outside corner. And this one, present building block, none. There isn't one. Because again, the bar is proven good player. I strictly just looking at the best ability is availability aspect of things. I can't put Devin Moore in there. I think he's a really good corner. but you need to be able to be out there consistently for me to say that I think you're a proven quality player. Because as good as Devin Moore has looked in his, 6 games he plays every year, that's great. But if I can't see you play in a full season or anything close to it, really, I can't say that you're a proven good quality player. DJ Lagway was banged up, sure, but he still played in more of the games. So if I can't see that you're a proven quality player consistently, I can't say you are. Dijon Johnson, I think, put out really good film for chunks of 2024. I do. For large portions of 2024, I think that Dijon Johnson put out really good film. He also had some stretches that were really bad. And so I can't say that you are a proven good player until you eliminate some of the bad. And I'm not saying that you need to eliminate some of the bad and all your film needs to be amazing. I'm saying that there needs to be less losses because you're going to lose, you're going to get beat, all that. But there's going to be less losses. So for proven, and Cormani, again, like tremendous football player, right? Potentially. On film, we've seen him play, 3 games in a Gators uniform? Can't say it. So present, there is not any. Future, Cormani is no longer eligible. He's a 2023 class. But Jameer Grimsley and Ben Hanks Jr. both fit that. And Onis Konanbani, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that while we're here. But Onis Konanbani could fit in there and give you 3 guys at the position. But I do feel like he's a player. He's a 4-star on ESPN and Rivals, 3-star on On3 24/7. So do with that whatever you want to do with it. But again, he's a guy that I think is a blue chip quality player, just doesn't have the ranking. But Jameer Grimsley, Ben Hanks Jr., both future building blocks. Again, Onus, depending on which recruiting site you use, he's a 4-star on 2 of them, a 3-star on the other 2. So if you think 50% there is good enough, then it's good enough. But corner is a spot where Florida does need to get a proven good player at the spot. That's a premium position where if you're bad, it can get real ugly if your pass rush isn't working. And sometimes in the SEC, you're going to play a really good offensive line where your pass rush doesn't show up as much as you'd want them to, and your secondary needs to step up. So you need that proven player. Florida has a lot of guys that I feel like or not a lot of guys, but 2 guys that I think are on the cusp in Dijon and Devin Moore. It's just about being healthy for Devin, just about consistency for Dijon. And Cormani has the potential to be the best corner in the country. It's just a matter of putting it together and learning the defense and being able to execute that consistently. Thanks for getting Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow, talk more Florida Gators football for Locked On Gators. I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.